Ken, Kuno, and Masato Kato are dead, or so they thought. While trying to save a drunken bum that stumbled upon train tracks, Kuno and Kato are killed by an oncoming train. They then wake up in a room with others who recently died and a giant fushigi. And a dog that tries to get peanut butter from all the wrong places. Without explanation, the Black Spirit orders them to kill an alien, then opens up and displays superpower suits and high-tech guns for the people to use on their mission. The Spirit teleports them outside and throws them and us into the world of Gantz, a classic that brought us the golden meme of,
"Hey, you alright, white boy? You alright?"
We got the mechs, we got T-Rex, aliens buying sweater vests, and swords that hit you where you digest. So when it comes to Gantz, don't you disrespect. This shit is hardcore. It's gory, disgusting, bleak, absurd. It's epic. Pair the concept with the sheer ridiculousness of the series and you're in for a wild time. The idea of having dead people resurrected into a death game, fighting ugly ass Freddy Krueger aliens is some dope shit. But where Gantz takes it up a notch is the execution. Gantz straps you up into the driver's seat and sets the GPS to who the fuck knows where. Hey, they got the psycho shorty from Kill Bill in this shit, man. The action and zaniness this series has is some sweet stuff, but when it adds in a pinch of mystery, now it's got you craving for some more. How the hell do these missions work? What's the point of them? Can these people ever go back to normal life? This shit hit me like crack. I was scratching, feeding, and looking like Hunter Biden after a Friday night binge. The chaos just sucks you in. How far is this going to go? How's this going to end? And how the hell are some high school kids fighting aliens before school the next day? But there's times where all the madness of this series just ends up being pure stupid. And to elaborate on that, I need to talk about. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This man Hiroya Oku is a
freaky ass nigga. He a 69 god.
Now I'ma keep it real. There's nothing wrong with being a little freaky, but when it starts seeping into your work, now you got a fucking problem. Pun intended.
I love bad bitches, that's my fucking problem.
You want an example? Stephen Hawking. You heard that name just now and thought of science. I bet you didn't know Stephen Hawking was out here slanging. His legs ain't work, but that ain't never stopped him from chasing the hoes. Two freaky frogs, but the difference is Stephen Hawking wasn't letting his horniness show through his work. Hiroya Oku though, we gotta check this man's computer, man. This man was on some nut shit. This man got some clay to make a figure for the first time, and what do you think he made? Big ass titties on a Japanese bitch. This man has so many naked girls popping up in the manga, it actually had me wanting to see men instead, on some Lil Nas X shit. Can we get some testosterone in this bitch? Damn! So much of this story suffered at the horny hands of this one man. Gantz has a whole bunch of sexual deviancy going on, so many sexual assaults or threats of it happening that it makes you take the story less seriously. Female characters are reduced to nothing but eye candy with no real purpose. It's like the author was too gooned out to write any decent female characters. One of the female characters were on her deathbed and this man still found a way to get some fan service out of her before she kicks the bucket. I will forever be traumatized by flailing double D's whenever I see this character. Female characters can't even die in peace when this man is the writer. Even the guys aren't safe for this man's horniness. Look at this guy, man. What? When the creator's perversion isn't in the way, he actually writes some good stuff. Gantz is ambitious. It doesn't rely on conventional storytelling, but rather does whatever the creator wants. There are so many batshit things that happen that don't make sense, but are interesting. I wasn't able to predict where this series was going and even hated the direction it took at times, but that's what makes Gantz great. The most loved arc of this series doesn't have the main character and instead has someone that we haven't seen in over 100 chapters taking the spotlight. You start the series off being told it's about aliens, then you see kung fu masters, psychics, vampires, and brothers from New York. Hey! If I could, I would get sturdy right now. These aspects don't add much to the story, but they're entertaining. They give it personality. There are moments I was wondering if I was still reading the same series, all for the creator to somehow stick the landing. At times. When Gantz doesn't pull off its quirky ideas, things end up messy. Questions get unanswered, characters get done dirty, and plot lines get left unresolved. While vampire swordsmen in suits are cool as fuck, Gantz struggles to effectively incorporate this into its story. The vampires randomly come into the story and literally walk out of it. A character gets built up to be a major part of the story, only to appear in 3 chapters, then die off screen. Gantz makes a great first impression, but the further you get into it, the more it goes from wacky to plain stupid. There's no better example than its most controversial moment. To hide his identity before committing a mass shooting, a Japanese character disguises himself as a black man. The boy painted a crisp fade and everything. My man went from the Nosuke to the Vante. How the hell did this series expect for us to believe this could happen with some Sephora makeup? Now, is this racist? As someone who's more than equipped to answer this question, if I do say so myself, I'm going to give an answer that Dr. Umar ain't gonna be proud of. This shit is so stupid, I can't even take offense to it. I turned to this page and I laughed before I even thought about being mad. The creator doesn't seem to be reinforcing any stereotypes about black people, and the character in question doesn't even try to mimic black people at all. And by the end of this incident, it doesn't seem like the creator is trying to display black people in a bad light. I can't even consider this blackface. Look how handsome they got my guy looking. When considering that this was written by a Japanese man in 2003, it comes off as more tasteless and ignorant than racist in my opinion. Besides, where the random man walked up to this character screaming, "Hey, black man, what you play? Sports? Music?" Hiroya Oku, you were tweaking with this part here, man. Aside from this character, how are the others? We got this bitch ass over here. You first meet him and he's a shithead. He's horny, condescending, judgmental, selfish, and an asshole who doesn't even help the elderly. But slowly, this piss baby becomes likable. After staring death in the face countless times and seeing the people around him taken away from him, he starts realizing, this Gantz shit ain't no joke, man. Whether he's taking a deuce or copping a fill, at any moment he can be made to play a survival game where he can die by being eaten by a chicken monster. If that don't make you lock in, then I don't know what will, goddammit. He's subjected to these games and forced to witness people he's connected with die in heinous ways. He ends up alone. You see him go from a person who feels like they have nothing to live for to someone who fights not only for his own survival, but others as well. Early in the story, they called my man a daylight lantern. They were saying he was as good as a lamp in broad day. Useless. My initial reaction to this, haven't y'all seen my man fighting in Jurassic Park, getting jumped by midget aliens, sparring with Buddha, and fighting a blackface wearer? How you gonna say my man useless when he was doing all this on a school night? But later in the story, those very same people are asking for Kuno's protection. He decides to be the bigger person and protect the people who look down on him. Seeing this feels satisfying. Now I know this sounds like some stereotypical anime shit, but this series does a good job of making you understand how the character got like this. At the start of the story, you see his selfish approach to the scenarios he's faced with and get this icky feeling from how much of a dickhead he's being. But then you witness the visceral events of Gantz, people being brutalized and tortured in gory spectacles. You see Kuno talking and laughing with his classmates, and minutes later, their bodies are scattered around the classroom. If Kuno doesn't fight to protect those around him, he'll be left with nothing. Life is valuable. Besides this whole ass motherfucker here, this man trying to embarrass my guy in front of his girl, and man like this deserves to die in the worst way. Kuno's character arc is top tier, but other characters in Gantz aren't written as well. The introductions and backstories of characters are solid, but anything else after that, Gantz doesn't manage to nail. Character arcs either lack substance or feel non-existent, and this is for the characters that aren't dying every 5 chapters. Resolutions aren't built up to, and characters don't go through enough development before their big moments happen. Characters are established and presented a certain way, only for them to later drastically change near the end of their arc. I would see characters die or go through tragic situations and shrug it off seconds later because there's no proper build-up. Yeah, characters in Gantz have dope moments or somber backstories, but you look past the surface and what do you get? Your character's big moments won't be that if I, as a reader, can't understand or make sense of why they come to this point. While the characters in Gantz aren't well written, Gantz manages to do something I would never expect. Have good dating advice. The manga where even the aliens aren't safe just because their girls have a good dating advice? Crazy, I know. Reading this manga reinforces the age-old advice, date girls who like you. It sounds simple, I know, but this is advice that would have saved me a lot of time, money, and depression. The relationship between Kei and Tai is a good display of this, and honestly, more wholesome than I expected for this series. The story does this weird thing where it tries to roast her for looking homely, but this is pure slander. Tai Kojima is the perfect girlfriend. She's supportive, cooks for a man, and draws pictures of him all day. A 6-feet fuckboy offered her a trip to Disney, and she curved him. Why? Because she's a ride or die. I don't care how homely she looks. This is the kind of girl every man needs. I like that this relationship starts simple. It doesn't go with the trope of the main character getting the hottest girl just because he turns into a badass. The relationship is convincing because the love interest always liked the main character, even when he was a shithead, and the relationship helps him grow to be a likable character. I don't know how this guy struggled writing good characters, but ended up writing a good relationship. Even more surprising than this is that after all the buffoonery, Gantz tries to get deep. There are moments in the story where our questions about life and God are exemplified. What is the value of life? Where is God during the struggles of man? Gantz's answers to all these questions?
Life is meaningless.
Is the answer it tells you, but if that's the case, then why did we see throughout the story Kuno, Kato, and other characters fight so hard for life? Fundamentally, you are no different from dust floating in the wind, simply matter and nothing more. Gantz states a nihilistic view of the world, but the characters and the actions show us different. From a realistic angle, you can view life like this, but on the flip side, if you choose to be optimistic, you can see how much depth there is to life. The value in loving and being loved, growing up and seeing things in new ways, feeling the beauty of the world. Maybe in the grander scheme of things, these things are minute, but for me and my loved ones, these are the things that keep us moving forward and make life worth enjoying. We are the ones who bring value to life and living. And I can't believe a manga this freaky got some deep stuff like this. But if you made it this far to this video, you might as well subscribe, drop a like, and drop your comments about the video or Gantz down below. And make sure you check out all the other bangers we got on this channel. Hey!